1. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of One Round Left. My name is Chase and today we're going to be reviewing the PTR 91. This particular model is the PTR 91 Classic. This is actually the first fan submitted rifle that you wanted to see, so I'd like to thank DJ for suggesting this rifle. So let's go ahead with the review by checking the firearm and making sure that it's safe. So if you're unfamiliar with the HK91, PTR 91, or any G3 family weapon, you want to go ahead and pull back on the charging handle and push it up. That pushes your bolt all the way to the back. We can tell that there's not a round in the chamber or in the magazine. This is an older model, PTR 91, hence the name Classic. This model does not feature your standard HK paddle magazine release. It does, however, have the button as a backup. So press in, magazine comes right out, and we'll set that to the side. Now that the weapon is cleared, we're going to continue with the review. So this is a civilian legal semi-automatic version of the very popular HKG3. You may notice it as being the bloated bigger brother of the MP5 family. This model was created by PTR Industries, which is a company out of South Carolina that purchased HK tooling, parts kits, and several other items so they could start producing these rifles. And I must say that if you're buying a HK clone, PTR is definitely a company that you want to look at in terms of reliability, durability, and also affordability. This model here floats for around $1,000, give or take 100, depending on the market. But they are chambered in .308 Winchester, so you can shoot .308 or 7.62 NATO, which makes it actually handy for commercial shooters, especially in the times that we live in right now, trying to source ammo. This rifle originally had wooden furniture on it. I've since taken that off and put on surplus G3 green stock kits. They come in a variety of different colors. You can get them in blue, black, a few different shades of green, and I believe there's even gray now, but I don't believe that was originally part of HK's military surplus. So this rifle is an armorer's dream. They are extremely easy to work on. It's mostly push pins to actually take the rifle down. So we'll go ahead and start with the takedown process. There's 2 pinholes here in the back. You would press this in, pull this pin out. If you notice the pinhole here on the stock, you can put these here when you're actually field stripping the weapon. Press it on the next pin, pull out, drive it through the pinhole. And from here we can actually remove our stock. As you can see, your recoil spring in your traditional full stock model is right here in the stock housing itself. You then pull down and your trigger pack will fall loose. We'll take a look at that here in a second. Take your charging handle, pull back, and push it all the way to the rear. You can lock it in there. Your bolt carrier group will actually fall out in its entirety. So as you can see, it's just one large assembly. It's similar in shape to an AK, but in terms of function, this actually uses a double roller lock system, which is actually very robust and very reliable. These weapons also have a fluted chamber, which you can tell by the distinctive black stripes that you'll see come out of your ammunition upon firing, whether it be steel case or brass case. You can also remove the handguard by pressing out this pin right here. However, it's something that you don't really need to do for field stripping unless you just want to change out your furniture or give the weapon a thorough cleaning. The receiver is all machine stamped. It's just stamped steel. The Germans were able to get this pin down early with the MG42 design, and when in terms of stamped steel is involved. And also you saw that later with the Sturmgewehr family of weapons. Moving on to our sight, this is just your standard HK battle drum sight. It comes with your 1 through 4 meter settings, 100 through 400. You just have your standard battle trench sight here. Moving on to the 2, 3, and 4. I don't actually have a claw mount to set an optic on, but you can actually get a PTR 91 now with a top mounted Picatinny or 1913 rail. So you can put an optic, red dot, any type of variable optic scope. Going back towards the front, you have your more traditional style birdcage flash hider. Your very obvious HK front sight, very reminiscent of the MP5 and G3. Swapping that over, you do have your sling swivel loop that you can mount that on the front. This model of handguard does have screw holes in it, so you can put a vertical grip underneath this. You would just attach a rail to it and then attach your grip to it, or however you wish. So we'll sit the upper down, which really, I don't know, it's more than just an upper. We'll take a look at the trigger pack. So there's a wide variety of trigger packs that you can actually use on these guns, and they're extremely easy to service or change parts for. Let's say this was a completely bummed trigger pack and it needed replacing. You would just push up to the selector switch, make it on the vertical position to where it's not marking fire or safe. You would then pull that out, lift up on your trigger pack, and it'll come out. So, it comes right out, takes a little bit of effort. It's been a while since I've removed this one from the rifle. But you could swap this out for a nicer trigger, marksman trigger. They even make binary drop-ins for these now. So we'll put this back in the rifle. Again, make sure that your selector switch is in the vertical position. Push it on through, line it up, and then crank down on it. It's in safe at this time. And it's just that easy to change out the trigger pack. I had to be a little bit of a barbarian with it just now because it's been a couple years since I've actually pulled it out. Your typical HK91 or G3 triggers can be a little spongy sometimes, or even have a hard break. It's your standard military style trigger. What was on the PSG-1 was a very finely tuned competition style trigger, but it was made for a lot more distinct purposes when it comes to sending one round downrange. With the stock, not just having your pinholes here to remove the stock assembly, you also have your sling swivel loop. So you can bring that on around from the front side on the left. And like I said, with your standard fixed stocks assemblies, they actually just have the recoil spring mated to it. So you can just change that out to whichever one you like. On these rifles, you can also change it to the alternate style of recoil system, to where you can actually have the adjustable stock system, which is more similar to the MP5. But I just prefer the rifle setup for this, no more than I shoot it. So we're going to begin the reassembly process, and before we do that, I just want to reach out to all my subscribers. I've hit almost 150 at the time of this video, and I'd like to thank everyone for sticking around and actually wanting to see my content. I know my channel is very, very small, and it's not like the other firearm channels, but I just want to let everyone know that I really appreciate that, and it really does mean a lot to me that you decide to tune in every couple weeks when I upload a video. Well, with all that said, let's go ahead and reassemble the rifle. So we just start from the back to the front, put in our bolt. It slides all the way down. Bolts in, trigger pack. It just clamps on, rotates up, make sure it's in nice and tight. And then your stock assembly. We'll just mate inside that, and it should all click and pop just like that. We'll put our stock pins back into the rifle. And voila, it's a rifle again. So a lot of people comment about the HK style slap when it comes to the bolt. I'll show you why that is, especially on these rifles here. So let's say I would just close this down and let the charging handle go home slowly. Rifle's not in battery. As you can tell, that the bolt is not fully towards the front of the trunnion here. So, to do this properly, You can take and pull down on your thumb. That'll lock it in place. Or you can take and do the HK slap. That'll do it too. Whatever works for you, just recommend that whenever you charge the bolt, that it's going all the way home into the fire position and ready to shoot. As I said, the trigger about this is nothing to write home about. It's just your standard military trigger, real hard break. You know, nothing crazy. Then we do our release. Very distinct trigger reset. You can tell exactly when this rifle's ready to fire again. Well, that's all I've got for the PTR 91 Classic. There's not a whole lot of history about these rifles because it's not a military service weapon. This is a civilian issued rifle made by a civilian company in the United States. So our next video is going to be the range review on it, which you'll find that it excels at the range I'll be shooting it at, especially at the distances I'll be shooting it at. I mean, it can reach out to 100 yards, no problem at all. So if you were wondering about buying one of these rifles, I highly recommend PTR. They are excellent. I know that people talk about the different rifles that come out of different countries, different pistol builds. I can 100% vouch for PTR. The warranty on the rifles is great. I've never had to send this one off, but it's been nothing but a tank, no more than I've shot it. I may have ran 1,000 rounds through it, which I know is nothing. However, I've ran a wide variety of ammo through it, reloads, brass case, 7.62 NATO, 308, steel case Tula. It just eats everything I feed it, especially with surplus magazines, which you can still buy these magazines relatively cheap. I mean, this is an HK magazine, and I was buying them back when they were $2, $2.97, and now they're in the $5, $6 range. So if you do buy one of these, just stock up on mags, you'll have plenty, and I've never had one fail. They're incredibly simple. This is the one thing about HK that I really admire, was their mass production for the furniture and accessories on these rifles. So to round this one off, I'd just like to thank everyone again for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video.